The morning air on Kepler Station smelled like metal and oil. Hyun walked slowly down the main corridor, carrying his toolbox in one hand and a heavy bag of spare parts in the other. His gray hair was thin on top, and deep lines marked his face. At 73 years old, he moved carefully, but his brown eyes were still sharp and kind. Hyun had worked as a maintenance man on the station for 12 years. Every day he fixed broken air filters, repaired water pipes, and cleaned the big machines that kept everyone alive in space. The other workers liked him because he was quiet and helpful. He always smiled when he saw them, and he never complained about the hard work. Today was like any other day. Hyun needed to fix the air processor on level 7. The machine had been making strange noises for 3 days. Station Commander Na had asked him to check it before it broke completely. Hyun stopped at the service elevator and pressed the button. While he waited, he watched the busy station around him. Kepler Station sat on the edge of human space, where many different aliens came to trade. There were tall blue creatures with 4 arms, small fuzzy beings that spoke in high voices, and metal robots that never needed to sleep. The elevator doors opened with a soft sound. Hyun stepped inside and pressed the button for level 7. As the elevator went up, he thought about his daughter Bo back on Earth. She worked for the government now and sent him messages every week. She wanted him to retire and come live near her, but Hyun liked his quiet life on the station. When the elevator stopped, Hyun walked out onto level 7. This level was quieter than the others. Most of the rooms here stored supplies or housed the big machines that ran the station. Hyun knew every hallway and every door. He had walked these paths thousands of times. The air processor room was at the end of the long corridor. Hyun walked toward it, thinking about what tools he might need. The bag of spare parts was getting heavy, so he shifted it to his other hand. He did not hear the footsteps behind him. "Move aside, old thing." Hyun turned around and saw 3 tall aliens walking toward him. They were Vorthax, and they looked angry. Vorthax had hard shells like giant insects, but they walked on 2 legs like humans. Their faces had big black eyes and sharp teeth. These 3 wore the red armor of Vorthax soldiers. The one in front was younger than the others. His armor was cleaner and shinier. His name tag said Crix. He was tall, even for a Vorthak, and he held his head high like he was very important. "Sorry," Hyun said softly. He moved to the side of the corridor to let them pass. "I did not see you there." But Crix did not want to wait. He pushed past Hyun roughly, making the old man stumble. Hyun tried to keep his balance, but his heavy toolbox slipped from his hand. The metal box hit the floor with a loud crash, and tools scattered everywhere. "Stupid human," Crix said in the common language that everyone on the station used. "You dropped your junk on my path." "I am very sorry," Hyun said. He bent down slowly to pick up his tools. His old knees made this hard, but he did not complain. It was an accident. Crix watched Hyun pick up the tools, and his black eyes grew darker, with anger. In Vorthak culture, when someone made you look foolish, you had to show your strength. Other aliens on the corridor had stopped to watch what was happening. This made Crix feel embarrassed. Hyun picked up a wrench and put it back in his toolbox. As he reached for a screwdriver, a small container of machine oil rolled out of his supply bag. The container had a crack in it, and oil leaked onto the floor. "Careful," Hyun said to himself. He did not want anyone to slip on the oil, but as he tried to pick up the container, more oil spilled out. Some of it splashed onto Crix's shiny red boot. Crix looked down at his boot and saw the dark oil stain. His whole body went stiff with rage. The other 2 Vorthak soldiers stepped back. They knew what was coming. "You dared dirty my armor?" Crix's voice was low and dangerous. "You miserable old human." "I am so sorry," Hyun said quickly. He stood up with his hands raised to show he meant no harm. "Let me clean it off for you. I have a cloth right here." "Too late for that," Crix said. His hand moved to the weapon, on his belt. It was a plasma blade, the kind that could cut through metal. "You have shown disrespect to a Vorthak warrior. This requires blood." Hyun's kind eyes went wide. "Please, there is no need for fighting. It was just an accident." "I will Pay for cleaning your armor? No, Crick said. He pulled out his plasma blade and it glowed bright blue in the corridor light. In my culture, when a lower being insults a warrior, only death can restore honor. The other aliens in the corridor moved away quickly. Some ran to get security, but Hyun knew they would not arrive in time. Station security was on level 3 and it would take them several minutes to get here. I have a daughter, Hyun said quietly. She is waiting for me to call her tonight. Crix did not care. He raised his plasma blade high above his head. Then you should have been more careful, old man. The blade came down fast. Hyun tried to move away, but his old body was too slow. The blue energy cut deep into his chest and he fell backward onto the metal floor. Hot pain filled his body, and he could taste blood in his mouth. Crick stood over him, looking proud of what he had done. Let this be a lesson to all humans, he said to the watching crowd. Know your place. As Hyun lay on the cold floor, feeling his life leak away, he looked up at Crix's face. With his last bit of strength, he spoke very quietly, so only the Vorthak soldier could hear him. Admiral Hyun Dae-woo, Terran Defense Force, service number Delta 77 Alpha 92. Crix frowned. The words meant nothing to him, just the babbling of a dying old man. Hyun's eyes closed and his breathing became very slow. Blood spread across the floor around him. The other aliens watched in shock as station security finally arrived, too late to help. Crix cleaned his blade and put it away. He felt satisfied. Justice had been done. He did not know that he had just signed his planet's death sentence. Dr. Kim ran through the corridors of Kepler Station as fast as she could. Her medical bag bounced against her side with each step. Behind her, 2 nurses pushed a floating stretcher, its anti-gravity motors humming softly. How bad is it? Dr. Kim asked into her communicator. Very bad, came the reply from the security team. Plasma blade to the chest. The victim is still breathing, but barely. When they reached level 7, Dr. Kim saw the crowd of aliens standing around. They all looked scared and upset. In the middle of the circle, an old human man lay on the metal floor in a pool of blood. His gray hair was wet with sweat, and his face was very pale. Move back, please, Dr. Kim said to the crowd. She knelt down next to the injured man and checked his pulse. It was weak and fast. Get the medical scanner ready, she told her. Nurses. The blue light of the scanner showed the damage inside the man's body. The plasma blade had cut deep, missing his heart by only 2 centimeters. His left lung was damaged and he was bleeding inside his chest. We need to get him to surgery right now, Dr. Kim said. Help me move him onto the stretcher. As they lifted the old man, his work badge fell from his chest pocket. One of the nurses picked it up and read the name out loud. Hyun Dae-woo, Maintenance Level 5. Dr. Kim nodded and kept working. She did not know that this name would soon change everything. In her office on Level 1, Station Commander Na was reading reports when her communicator buzzed. She was a short woman with black hair tied back in a neat style. She had run Kepler Station for 8 years and had seen many accidents, but violent attacks were rare. Commander Na here, she said. Ma'am, we have a serious situation on Level 7. A Vorthak soldier attacked one of our maintenance workers with a plasma blade. The victim is in critical condition. Na's face became serious. Violence between species was the worst thing that could happen on a trading station. Have you arrested the attacker? No, ma'am. He left with his squad about 10 minutes ago, but we have his name. Crix of the 3rd Vorthak Battle Group. What about the victim? Do we know who he is? Yes, ma'am. His name is Hyun Dae-woo. He works in maintenance. The communicator slipped from Na's hand and clattered on her desk. Her face went completely white, and her hands began to shake. Ma'am, are you all right? Na picked up the communicator with trembling fingers. What did you say the victim's name was? Hyun Dae-woo, ma'am. He's an old maintenance worker, been here about 12 years. Na's heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. Send me his complete personnel file right now, and get me a direct line to Earth Command, emergency priority. Earth Command? Ma'am, is that really? Do it now, Na shouted. She never shouted, but this was different. This was the worst thing that could possibly happen. When Hyun's file appeared, on her computer screen, Na scrolled down quickly past his work history and medical records. At the bottom, she found what she was looking for, a small note that said, "See classified file Omega-7 for complete record." Na's security clearance was high enough to access Omega-7 files, but she had never needed to before. Her hands shook as she typed in her access codes. The file that opened made her feel sick to her stomach. On Earth, in the city of New Seoul, Bo was having lunch at her desk when her communicator rang. She worked for the Terran Defense Ministry in a small office with no windows. Her job was boring. She processed supply requests for human colonies, but it paid well. The caller ID showed it was from Kepler Station. Bo smiled, thinking her father was calling early today. "Hi, Papa," she said in a happy voice. "How are you feeling today?" "Is this Bo Daewoo?" The voice was not her father's. It was a woman who sounded very upset. "Yes, this is Bo. Who is this? Where is my father?" "This is Commander Na from Kepler Station. I'm very sorry to tell you this, but your father has been attacked. He is in our medical center right now." Bo's lunch fell from her hands onto the floor. "Attacked? What do you mean attacked?" "A Vorthak soldier stabbed him with a plasma blade. The doctors are doing everything they can, but his injuries are very serious." The office around Bo seemed to spin. She held onto her desk to keep from falling. Is he going to live?" "We do not know yet. I am sending you all the medical reports, but Bo, I need to ask you something very important. Do you know about your father's military service?" "Military service?" Bo was confused. "My father never served in the military. He has been a maintenance worker his whole life." "Bo, your father is Admiral Hyun Dae-woo. He commanded the 3rd Human Fleet during the Centauri War. He is one of the most famous military leaders in human history." Bo laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who thought she was going crazy. "That is impossible. My father fixes air conditioners. He has never even told me a war story. I am looking at his classified file right now. After the war ended, he chose to hide his identity and live a quiet life. Only a few people in the government knew where he was." Bo's legs stopped working, and she fell into her chair. Her whole life had been a lie. The kind old man who called her every week and sent her pictures of flowers he saw on the station was secretly the most dangerous human who had ever lived. "What do I need to do?" Bo asked quietly. "You need to activate the emergency protocols in his file. You are listed as his next of kin, so you have the authority." Bo's hands shook as she accessed her father's military records on her government computer. She had never needed to look at classified files before, but her security clearance was high enough. When the file opened, she saw a picture of her father from 40 years ago. He looked young and strong, wearing the dark blue uniform of a Terran admiral. Below the picture were words that made her blood turn cold. Admiral Hyun Dae-woo, Supreme Commander, Operation Ghost Strike, Architect of the Proxima Gambit, Casualty count, 2.7 million enemy combatants. Bo read about battles she had only heard of in history books. Her father had not just fought in the Centauri War, he had ended it. His strategies were still taught in military schools across the galaxy. At the bottom of the file was a red button labeled Emergency Activation Protocol Omega. Bo stared at it for a long time. According to the file, pressing this button would wake up systems that had been sleeping for 50 years. Bo thought about her father lying in the medical center, fighting for his life, because some alien soldier thought he was just a week old. She pressed the button. On the Vorthak homeworld of Krekstar, military analyst Wu was listening to intercepted communications from human space when he heard something that made him drop his coffee. "Earth Command, this is Kepler Station. We have an Omega-7 emergency. Admiral Hyun Dae-woo has been attacked. Repeat, the ghost of Proxima has been attacked." Wu's coffee cup shattered on the floor, but he did not notice. He ran to his computer and began searching through every database the Vorthak military had. When he found the file on Admiral Hyun Dae-woo, his hands began to shake. The ghost of Proxima was supposed to be dead. Everyone said he had died in the war. But if he was alive, and if someone had attacked him, Wu tried to contact the Vorthak High Command, but they were in a meeting. He tried to reach Krix's ship, but it was still in hyperspace and could not receive messages. Wu looked at his computer screen and read about the Battle of Proxima Station, where Admiral Hyun had defeated 6 Vorthak fleets using only 2 human ships. He read about the Centauri siege, where the Admiral had ended a 3-year war in 6 hours. Then Wu did something he had never done in his 20 years of military service. He ran. In the medical center of Kepler Station, machines beeped softly around Hyun's bed. Dr. Kim had worked for 6 hours to save his life. The plasma blade had done terrible damage, but the old man's body was stronger than it looked. His vital signs are stable now, Dr. Kim told Commander Na. But he lost a lot of blood. He needs to rest for several days. Na nodded, but she could not stop looking at the sleeping man. It was hard to believe that this quiet maintenance worker was the famous Admiral Hyun Dae-woo. She had read about his battles in school, but she never thought she would meet him. "Commander," said one of the nurses, "something strange is happening with the patient's brain scans." Dr. Kim looked at the monitor. Hyun's brain activity was much higher than normal for someone who was unconscious. Strange patterns moved across the screen like waves. "Is he having seizures?" Na asked. "No," Dr. Kim said slowly. "This looks more like intense thinking, as if his brain is working very hard on something." What they could not see was that inside Hyun's head, old technology was waking up. 50 years ago, during the war, military doctors had put special implants in his brain. These implants helped him think faster and connect to computer systems directly. After the war ended, Hyun had turned them off and tried to forget about them. But now, as his body fought to heal, the implants sensed danger. They turned themselves back on. Suddenly, Hyun's eyes opened, but they were not the kind, grandfatherly eyes that everyone on the station knew. These eyes were cold and sharp like a machine calculating a difficult problem. "Doctor," Hyun said quietly. His voice sounded different, stronger and more commanding. "I need you to scan my chest again." Dr. Kim was surprised that he was awake, but she did as he asked. The new scan showed that his wounds were healing much faster than they should. "That is impossible," she said. "This morning you were dying. Now you look like you were injured a week ago." Hyun sat up in bed slowly. "My body has medical implants that speed up healing. They only work during emergencies." Before Dr. Kim could ask more questions, the door to the medical center opened. A young human man in a dark suit walked in. He was tall and thin with serious eyes behind glasses. Commander Na had never seen him before. "Who are you?" Na asked. "How did you get past security?" "My name is Tae," the man said. He showed them an identification card with official government seals. "I am here on direct orders from the Terran Defense Council." Tae walked over to Hyun's bed and bowed respectfully. "Admiral, it is good to see you alive. When we heard what happened, we feared the worst." "How long has it been since the attack?" Hyun asked. 4 hours and 23 minutes, sir." Hyun nodded. "Then we still have time. Tae, I need you to activate Communication Protocol 7 Alpha. Connect me to the Prometheus network." Tae took a small device from his pocket and placed it next to Hyun's bed. The device projected a holographic screen in the air. Numbers and symbols flowed across the screen faster than anyone could read. "The network is online, Admiral. All nodes are responding." Commander Na and Dr. Kim watched in confusion as Hyun began touching the holographic screen. His fingers moved very quickly, like he was typing on an invisible keyboard. "What is the Prometheus network?" Na asked. "It connects every human ship, station, and colony in the galaxy," Tae explained. "Most people do not know it exists. The Admiral designed it during the war to coordinate military operations." On the screen, Na could see hundreds of small dots, moving across a map of the galaxy. Each dot was a human ship or station. "Admiral," Tae said quietly, "the Council wants to know what you plan to do about the Vorthak soldier who attacked you." Hyun's fingers stopped moving. He looked at Tae with those cold, calculating eyes. "What I always do, Tae. I solved the problem completely. Hyun began working on the screen again. This time the dots on the map started moving in new directions. Ships that had been traveling to trade stations suddenly changed course. Mining vessels stopped their work and began moving toward empty space. Exploration ships turned around and headed for human colonies. "Sir," Tay said, looking at the screen, "you are mobilizing the entire civilian fleet. Is that really necessary for one Vorthak? Soldier?" "The soldier is not the problem," Hyun said calmly. "The problem is that other species think humans are weak. They think we are peaceful traders and farmers who cannot fight back. Today we will teach them that they are wrong." Dr. Kim could not understand what she was seeing. "These are just civilian ships, cargo haulers and mining vessels. What can they do against a military?" Hyun smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "Doctor, what do you think human cargo ships carry? Supplies, food, trade goods?" "Sometimes," Hyun said, "but they also carry gravity manipulators powerful enough to move asteroids. Mining ships have laser drills that can cut through planetary crust. Science vessels carry experimental technology that most people cannot imagine." Tay pointed to the screen. "Admiral, the Titan mining group is now in position near the Vorthak system. The Odyssey science ships have deployed stealth fields. All vessels report ready for operation." "How is this possible?" Commander Na asked. "How can civilian ships coordinate like a military fleet?" "Because they are not really civilian ships," Hyun explained. "Every human vessel built in the last 50 years has hidden capabilities. Every captain has secret training. Every cargo manifest has items that can become weapons." He touched the screen again, and new information appeared. Na could see technical details about ships she thought she knew. Cargo vessels had advanced shields. Mining ships carried military-grade sensors. Even the small shuttles that brought supplies to Kepler Station had weapon hardpoints hidden in their hulls. "After the Centauri War," Hyun continued, "human leaders decided that we would never be caught unprepared again. So we built a civilization that looks peaceful, but can become a war machine in hours." On the screen, more dots were moving. Human colonies were powering up defense systems that looked like communication arrays. Trade stations were activating weapons disguised as loading cranes. The entire human space looked the same as it did yesterday, but now Na could see it was really a giant trap waiting to spring. "Where is the Vorthak soldier now?" Hyun asked. Tay checked his device. "His ship left hyperspace 15 minutes ago. He should reach his homeworld in about 90 minutes. "Perfect," Hyun said. "That gives us time to get into position." Dr. Kim looked at the screen showing hundreds of human ships moving through space. "You are going to attack an entire planet because one soldier hurt you?" Hyun looked at her with those cold eyes. "Doctor, I am not going to attack anyone. I am going to give them a choice, justice or consequences. They will deliver the soldier who tried to murder me, or they will learn why humans spent 50 years preparing for peace." Touch the screen one more time. Across the galaxy, human ships received their final orders. In 90 minutes, the Vorthak homeworld would face something they had never seen before: humanity showing its true face. Crix was still traveling through hyperspace, proud of what he had done. He had no idea that his single act of violence had awakened the most dangerous military mind in galactic history. The old maintenance worker was gone. The ghost of Proxima had returned. Crix's ship dropped out of hyperspace near his homeworld of Krextar. He was still feeling proud about killing the old human. In Vorthak culture, what he had done was right and honorable. He expected his commanders to praise him, but when he looked out the ship's window, Crix's confidence turned to confusion. Human ships surrounded his planet. There were dozens of them: cargo vessels, mining ships, and science craft. They hung in space like a metal cloud around Krextar. Crix had never seen so many human ships in one place. "What are those humans doing here?" Crix asked his pilot. The pilot checked the communications screen. "Sir, our homeworld is trying to contact us. They sound very upset." The communication came through with the angry voice of General Vex, the commander of Krextar's defense forces. "Crix, get to the surface immediately. What did you do in human space?" Crix frowned. "I upheld Vorthak honor, General. I killed a human who disrespected me. You fool, General Vex shouted. Do you know who you killed? Just some old maintenance worker. That maintenance worker was Admiral Hyun Dae-woo, the ghost of Proxima, the human who ended the Centauri War. Crix's blood turned cold. Every Vorthak knew stories about the ghost of Proxima. He was the human strategist who had defeated 6 Vorthak fleets using only 2 ships. Military schools still studied his tactics, but he is supposed to be dead, Crix said weakly. Well, he is not dead, and now every human ship in 3 sectors is pointing weapons at our planet. Get down here now. As Crix's ship descended toward the planet's surface, he could see the human vessels more clearly. They were not warships, but they moved with military precision. Each ship held its position perfectly, like pieces on a game board. On Kepler Station, Hyun sat in his medical bed, watching the tactical display on his holographic screen. Tae stood beside him, reporting on ship positions. All vessels are in place, Admiral, Tae said. The Vorthak defense fleet has surrounded our ships, but they have not opened fire. Good, Hyun said calmly. They are smart enough to know they are outmatched. Open a communication channel to the Vorthak High Command. The holographic screen changed to show the interior of a Vorthak command center. 5 tall Vorthak leaders sat around a metal table. Their shell-like faces looked angry and worried at the same time. I am Supreme Commander Zak of the Vorthak High Command, said the largest Vorthak. Human Admiral, why have you brought a fleet to our homeworld? Hyun's voice was calm and polite, like a grandfather talking to children. Supreme Commander, one of your soldiers attempted to murder a human civilian. I have come to collect him. For trial under Galactic law. The soldier acted according to our customs, Zak replied. We do not surrender our warriors to alien courts. I see, Hyun said. He touched his holographic screen, and new orders went out to the human ships. Then you choose consequences over justice. Around Krextar, the human ships began their work. The mining vessels moved toward the planet's 3 moons. These ships used gravity manipulators to move asteroids in their normal work. Now they pointed these same tools at the moons themselves. What are you doing? Supreme Commander Zak demanded. Teaching, Hyun replied simply. The first moon, Kayla, began to move. The mining ships pulled it slowly out of its orbit. On the planet's surface, Vorthak scientists watched their instruments in horror as the moon drifted away from its normal path. Stop this, Zak shouted. Without our moons, our oceans will go crazy. Our planet will die. Then give me the soldier, Hyun said. We cannot. It would show weakness to other species. Hyun touched his screen again. The second moon, Bren, began moving out of orbit. On Krextar's surface, the oceans started to behave strangely. Huge waves crashed against the coasts as the planet's tides went wild. At the same time, the human science vessels released clouds of tiny robots called nanobots. These robots looked like space dust, but they were actually complex machines. They began attaching themselves to Vorthak defense ships. Our weapons are failing, reported a Vorthak captain. Something is disabling our systems. The nanobots ate through metal and electronics, but only the parts that made weapons work. The Vorthak ships could still fly, but they could not fight. Next, the human cargo ships deployed massive solar collectors, mirrors the size of cities that could redirect sunlight. They began focusing the light from Krextar's sun, creating artificial solar flares. Our communications are down planet-wide, another Vorthak reported. The solar radiation is too strong. Supreme Commander Zak watched his planet falling apart. The wild oceans were flooding coastal cities. The defense fleet was helpless. All communication with other star systems had stopped. You are destroying our world without firing a single shot, he said in amazement. I do not need to fire shots, Hyun explained. Human civilization looks peaceful because we choose to be peaceful. But every tool we use for building can also be used for destroying. Every ship that carries food can carry weapons. Every colony that grows crops can grow soldiers. On the screen, Hyun showed them images of other human worlds. Farms that could quickly become military bases. factories that could switch from making tools to making weapons, even schools that were really training centers for future officers. For 50 years, Hyun continued, humans have prepared for war while hoping for peace. We have turned our entire civilization into a weapon that no one can see until it is too late. The third moon, Zen, began moving out of orbit. On Krextar, the ground started shaking as the planet's crust adjusted to the changing gravity. Volcanoes that had been sleeping for thousands of years began to wake up. Enough, Supreme Commander Zack shouted. We surrender. We will give you the soldier. Bring him to my ship immediately, Hyun said. Within minutes, Krix was dragged aboard a shuttle heading for the human fleet. His proud armor was gone, replaced by simple prisoner clothes. When he saw the dying planet below, he understood the terrible mistake he had made. The shuttle docked with Hyun's command ship. Krix was brought before the old man who still sat in his medical bed, but whose eyes held the power to destroy worlds. You tried to kill me because you thought I was weak, Hyun said quietly. You thought humans were weak. Krix could not speak. He could only stare at the being who had brought his entire planet to the edge of death in less than 2 hours. Your planet will live, Hyun said. I am restoring the moons to their proper orbits. Your oceans will calm, and your communications will return. But remember this day, soldier. Remember that human kindness is a choice, not a weakness. Hyun touched his screen one final time. Around Krextar, the mining ships began pushing the moons back to their correct positions. The solar collectors withdrew. The nanobots self-destructed, leaving the Vorthak ships functional but forever changed. Take him to the prison ship, Hyun told his guards. He will stand trial for attempted murder, and then he will serve his sentence. Justice will be done. As Krix was led away, he heard Hyun speaking to Supreme Commander Zack one last time. Tell the galaxy what you have seen today, Hyun said. Tell them that humans are peaceful by choice, not by weakness. Tell them that we have spent 50 years turning our entire civilization into a weapon, while hoping we would never need to use it. And tell them that if they threaten innocent humans again, they will face something far worse than war. They will face humanity united. The communication ended. Around Krextar, the human ships began departing, returning to their normal lives as if nothing had happened. Miners went back to mining. Traders went back to trading. Scientists went back to exploring. But the galaxy would never see them the same way again. Hyun closed his eyes and let the old maintenance worker return. By tomorrow, he would be back on Kepler Station, fixing air processors and smiling at his co-workers. The Admiral would sleep again, but now everyone knew he was there waiting.